Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1AAuto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of 1AAuto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you how to remove and replace a tie rod on this 2007 Audi A4. It's the same for 02 to 09 A4 as well as S4, some other Audi models, and VW Passat as well. Items you'll need are a new tie rod from 1AAuto.com, 17mm socket and ratchet with a breaker bar or your tire iron, 22 and 18mm open end wrenches, 13 and 16mm sockets and ratchet, jack and jack stands, hammer, and some penetrating oil.
Remove the wheel. Use the special center cap removal tool available at 1AAuto.com, or you could use a 90-degree pick. Put it into the center of the cap and pull. And loosen your lug nuts. They're 17mm. Loosen them with the vehicle on the ground. Raise and support the vehicle. We'll remove the lug nuts the rest of the way. Obviously, if you had the benefit of air tools, you didn't need to loosen them up on the ground, but you can loosen them now with either a wrench or I'm going to use an impact gun. Now remove the wheel. We want to loosen this 22mm nut, and we're going to hold the 18mm nut in behind it. And I'm just going to use a little bit of penetrating oil. Spray it down first. So I've got my 18mm wrench on that back nut, and then 22mm on the locking nut, and just pull. And it loosens up actually fairly easily. And I'm just going to loosen it up a little bit, about a quarter of a turn. Now we're going to remove this 13mm bolt on top and this 16mm nut here. You need to drive this bolt out. I'm going to put the nut back on here just so I don't end up ruining the bolt itself. Hammer. Get it going. So I've driven it out some. I'm just going to use my upper bolt to drive it out the rest of the way. And then to get the tie rod to drop down, a couple good hits usually loosens it up a little bit. Just shaking and pulling it down. Put your 18mm back on the end of your steering gear, and then just turn your tie rod end right out. The old part that we removed from the vehicle, new part from 1AAuto, you can see they're dimensionally the same length, and the important parts, which is where it goes into the steering knuckle, is the same, as well as where it goes into the end of the rack is the same. So this is going to be a functional replacement. It's going to fix your problem if your tie rod end is loose, but it may look a little different. Reinstallation, we're going to take the lock nut, set it to basically the same position as the original. This will give you a good preliminary alignment. You will want to take your vehicle to an alignment shop and have an alignment done after you do this repair, just to make sure it's all good. But this should be able to make it so it's drivable. So just set that where it is on the original. And then just like before, thread it in to the rack. And while you're turning this in, make sure you hold the 18mm nut so it doesn't spin at all. Use a wire brush. Just try and clean out a little bit. Need to move or twist this shaft so it'll go up and this indent will line up so the bolt goes through. So just use a pair of pliers, grab it tightly where the indent is, and twist. The other thing is you'll have to line it up somewhat to go up in there. Once you feel like you have that pretty well lined up, put the tie rod up into place, and you should be able to get it started pretty well, and some light hammer taps should drive it up and inside. This bolt goes in, the flat side should be facing the flat on the other side. Tighten the 13mm bolt first. And tighten the 16mm nut. Now hold the 18mm nut on the end of the tie rod and rack and tighten the locking nut. Install the wheel back up in place. Kind of a pain because of the no lug studs twisted to line up the holes. Tighten the lug bolts preliminarily. And lower the vehicle. Now torque your lug bolts to 90 foot-pounds using a star pattern. Put your center cap back on. Just note the largest space here. Find the largest space between the tabs on your cap. Then peek in behind.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope this video helped you out. Next time you need parts for your car, please visit 1aauto.com. Also check out our other helpful how-to as well as diagnosis videos.